Mnajua vizuri kwamba the university crisis started in September, and the university crisis had three issues. One of the issues was on the CBA of 21-25, whose amount of 2.73 billion, which fell in the financial year 25-26 and was supposed to be paid in July, had not been paid, as at the time the notice of strike was issued in September. But 3 or 4 days into the issuing of that strike notice, that amount of 2.73 billion for the CBA of 2021-2025 was paid. So that issue of the CBA of 2021-2025 was spent, Elisha. The second issue they had was on a CBA of 2017-2021. The CBA of 2017-2021 was a CBA of 16.8 billion. 8.8 billion had been paid, but SRC then indicated that there was a balance of 624 when the unions indicated that there was a balance of 7.9 billion. SRC said that out of that 7.9 billion, 7.2 billion had been paid in the course of the years during the normal salary increments of the lecturers. So now we had a problem. We had SRC saying 624 billion and the union saying 7.9 billion. So we could not be able to progress until the payroll was re-audited again. But now this re-auditing was done between SRC, between the universities, and between the unions. When that exercise ended about 10 days ago or so, I'll get the actual date, they indicated that the actual balance is neither 624 million or 7.9. It is actually 7.7. 200 had already been paid. 200 was accepted by both sides as having been paid to the universities. So the balance was then 7.7. So the government then gave an offer to the unions to pay this 7.7 in three tranches, in three phases. Phase one, this November, phase two in July, and the phase three in July 2027, which the unions rejected. We went back to the drawing board, and on last week we gave them an offer of paying this 7.7 in two tranches. That is 50% this month of November, and 50% in July 2026. This they again rejected, insisting that they want the whole amount paid in lump sum. Now, this becomes a problem because this being a historical debt, a historical amount, this amount was not factored into the budget of the ministry for the year 2025-2026. So we had to be able to get it from the allocations. When you do those reallocations, you can only take so much from the budget, because if you take more, then other programs will suffer because they will not have enough resources to be to undertake their programs because of that budget cut. So we explained all this to them, that the difficulty is not that the government doesn't want to pay the 7.7, but the funds are not available to be paid because they were not budgeted for. So the idea was, we will do some reallocations and through supplementary one, pay 50% this month of November when supplementary one is being done, and then the balance will be factored into the budget of the ministry for financial year 2026-2027. And that's how government works, that's how planning works, that's how budgeting works. But they rejected this as well. But tomorrow, we are in parliament with them. So we'll be meeting there with parliament, officers from the ministry, officers from treasury, officers from the unions, and we'll brainstorm together and see whether we can come to an agreement tomorrow. In the meantime, the 12 universities that are completely not teaching, some of the senates have made a decision to close, including JKUAT, which closed yesterday, and others are meeting to assess the situation of the students, because they've not been in class for almost 50 days, to make a decision on whether to close or not. But as a government, we are doing something to resolve that challenge, because it's a challenge that is life, but it's a challenge that is on our table through past non-decision making, and which is what we do not want to do now. For this particular government, we want to resolve that issue so that in future we don't have lecturers going on strike every other time. So that's really the challenge that we have, but we are working towards resolving it, and I want to encourage the unions to consider the offer that the government has given, because previously, whatever offer that we had given, we have already made good. So we are not in arrears in any sense. And also, the students that are being punished now, and I thank them for being calm and remaining calm as they wait. The students that are being punished now were not there in 2017. They were not there in 2021. They are current in their payments to the lecturers. This is actually a historical debt or a pending bill, for lack of a better word, which can be resolved in other ways other than going on strike and denying the current students the studies when they have already done their part. So I'm just asking the unions to look into this issue and be open to discussion so that we can have it resolved. The other issue that they had of the negotiations of the CBA of 2025, 2029, the negotiations are ongoing. So you really cannot say you want to go on strike during the negotiations, because that then puts pressure on everybody to make maybe to accede to terms that may not be viable or that may not be fair. My appeal to them was that all of the strike, take a month or take 2 months, deal with the CBA of 2025, 2029 separately out of the strike as we resolve these issues. So the government has been faithful. The government has shown good faith in ensuring that the lecturers' welfare is taken care of and their issues are attended to without us running away from the challenge those, of those resources. So this is where we are with respect to the university strike lecturers. And also, ladies and gentlemen, there is a court case that was filed in September by the universities against the unions, and in the court said that particular strike is not protected. It was interdicted. So even as they refuse to go back to class, they are violating a valid court order. And when you violate a valid court order, you can be subjected to contempt proceedings. So, but we have not done that because we have been negotiating and saying, can we resolve this matter in an amicable way? And that's what I'm asking them to do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.